Fit to Love, episode 122, the most effective kind of relationship therapy.
Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flizanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Sexy Saturdays. Today's show, the most effective kind of relationship therapy. I am so excited about today's show. I have been waiting to do this for months, and I'm so happy to have back our guest, Maria Newson. Maria has a bachelor's degree in communications from the University of Southern California and a master's degree in clinical psychology from Antioch University. She's also a registered yoga teacher trained in Hatha, Iyengar, and therapeutic Yapana restorative yoga. Maria strongly believes in the mind-body connection and that our thoughts greatly influence our mood, both positively and negatively. Maria employs proven clinical tools, including CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, interventions, and mind-body techniques that enable clients to find greater joy and meaning in their life and relationships. Her specialties include anxiety and depression disorders, emotional regulation, which we talked about on a previous show, life transitions, spiritual awakening, parenting and blended family issues, and couples counseling. Additionally, she enjoys working with adolescents and helping parents understand their teens' disruptive and angry acting out behaviors and provides tools for healthier family dynamics. She offers an eclectic brand of therapy which combines a variety of tools best suited to you or your family's needs and integrates calming and mindfulness techniques, which she uses extensively in her work as both a yoga instructor and a student of yoga. Welcome back to the show, Maria.
Oh, good to be back. Thank you.
So I'm very excited about today's topic. I've been wanting to share this work for so long because I believe that this is the cornerstone for relationship therapy. And I say that because what we're going to talk about and what we're going to share with you today is a game changer. It was a game changer for me to learn this concept in this work. And I think that if you're having any problems in your relationship, or you're going through a divorce, you're thinking about getting a divorce, or you've been divorced and you're wanting to find another partner, I think it is imperative that you do this work that we're going to talk about today in order for you to successfully have an authentic relationship with whomever. So, Maria, share with us what I am choosing to call the most effective relationship therapy.
Wow, what an intro. I would have to agree with you. It is a practice that was developed by someone named Harville Hendricks, and he's written many books, and along with his wife has put together this, what I think is a brilliant step-by-step process of understanding yourself, understanding your partner, and healing a lot of childhood wounds that we bring into relationships unconsciously. And because it's unconscious, that is where the struggle is, because we're wanting our partner to change. We're not wanting to do any changing, of course. And so there begins the problem. There begins the foundation for a lot of upset, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. So Harville Hendricks developed a therapy called Imago. And in Latin, imago means image. And basically, the basic tenet is that we seek out in our partners that which we did not get from our early caregivers. So just very rudimentary, we go out and, for example, if our parent was very stern and cold and withholding, well, our subconscious makes a beeline for that partner, that person that has those same characteristics. We might not see them initially, because in the first blush of romance, we see all the good stuff. But if we really go back and if we really look at when we first met someone, if we really think about it, some of those qualities and characteristics were there from the get-go. And so we get together with that partner, and subconsciously, again, we try to change and fix that partner, because we could not change and fix that parent. We're a small little child, and we can't make our parents be more loving or more affectionate or more there for us. And we don't have the tools. We don't understand. All we understand is that we're hurting and we're not getting what we need. So the subconscious says, I know, I'll pick someone just like that parent, and I will go about the business of changing them and fixing them and molding them into what I want now and to what I didn't get as a child.
Awesome. So I want to share with everyone who's listening sort of how I learned about imago therapy. Not necessarily a story, but I probably learned about it 8 years ago now. And it was one of those, a couple had been going through some troubles and they had learned about imago therapy. And when I asked about it, the explanation was you choose your partner to heal the wounds of your past. And when I heard that, that was a game changer. I was like, oh, well, all right then. That then answers a lot of questions. And now we have to figure out what wounds do I need to heal and what wounds do you need to heal. And it was explained, and I want you to talk about this too. If let's say we're doing regular couples therapy and we're not doing imago therapy, and there's that, like you said, you want to change that other person. We're really dealing with the 5-year-olds, right? Versus the adults. Like I think there's a block of that. You're really not able to be your like two adults in that relationship because you're acting out from that place of that child parent relationship. Talk a little bit to that.
Right. I mean, that's what it is. And sometimes in psychology talk, we talk about a couple dyad, and we talk about one as being parentified and the other as being infantilized. So what that means is one person in the partnership assumes the role of the parent and scolds and withholds and is very tells them the other person what to do and how to do it, and so the other partner is in that dyad infantilized or made to feel like a child, and so they become angry and sullen and they withdraw and they act out, and so you've got this this tremendous imbalance. And so when people come in, sort of, that's just one paradigm, but for our purposes, we kind of look at that paradigm, and they kind of begin to understand, oh my God, I'm my mother, or oh my God, I'm still that sullen, angry teenager. And we begin to sort of look at that and see where we can get some equilibrium and get back to a place where they're partners and they're not so off kilter in terms of how they're dealing with one another. So Imago helps, Imago steps in and sort of looks at where the partnership got to a level that it became this parentified, infantilized sort of dyad, and then we begin to do our work. So, for example, in Imago, there's a dialogue. It's called it's just a couples dialogue, and it's in 3 steps: mirroring, validating, and empathizing. So I'll have a couple come in and they'll, give the example of, he's always late and he never calls me. And I think he's dead on the freeway and I don't know what's going on. And, the husband's rolling his eyes and just, this is ridiculous. And she carries on about nothing. So I have them sort of go through this dialogue, and the wife will talk about her fears, talk about what's going on for her. And the husband will have to mirror her words precisely, verbatim. So, and people have a tough time doing that because we're so busy not listening. We're so busy thinking about what we want to say to our partner after they've said their feelings that we are one step ahead. So it's very difficult and interesting for partners to see how they don't listen to one another, how difficult mirroring is, and we have to do it over and over and over until they finally get it. And then the partner that's doing the verbalizing will say, okay, you've listened to me, you understand what I'm saying, we can move on to the next phase now. The next phase is the validating, where the listening partner will then summarize everything that the one partner has said, in the case of the wife who feels very frightened of her husband coming home late. And then the final stage is empathizing, where he'll have to put in a feeling. So that must feel scary, frightening, all of these feelings that he can come up. And then as their coach, I will say, okay, go deeper. What is she really feeling? I know she's scared, but what else is going on? And we get deeper and deeper and deeper, and she feels abandoned. She feels invalidated. She feels unloved. She feels ignored. And so when a partner can be in the feeling place of their partner, that is when real change can occur. And I would say 75% of the time, someone, the first session, within the first 15 minutes of a couple dialogue, will begin to cry because they will feel heard and they will feel understood. And honestly, when that happens, it opens the floodgates and partners can really, really begin to heal because they've tapped into each other's feeling states.
I want to talk about, okay, these three stages: the mirror, the validating, and the empathizing. So when I get the mirroring, that was really super clear. And I absolutely agree that people aren't listening to each other. And will repeat what they heard through their filters, which isn't what the other person said.
Exactly. Right.
Right. So mirroring, great. And then validating. So can you just talk a little bit more about the validating process? Because what I'm hearing is that, or what my fears might be around validating, is that, are you just reflecting back to them what they're saying, and that therefore that is validating? Or are we doing any positive or negatives, like, oh yes, it's good or bad, or
No,
use that?
you're summarizing. You're saying, so what I heard was, and you're just letting them know that in addition to just sort of repeating like a parrot what they said, now you're really saying, okay, so here's what you said. You said that when I come home late, it really bothers you. You get scared. You're afraid that something's happened to me. And it's just kind of emphasizing again, just repeating again what's going on, and the wife or the husband is shaking their head. Yes, they're getting it. They understand. So it's really, of the two of the three of them, I think mirroring and is difficult because you have to really listen and you have to really get out of your own head. And then the empathizing is the toughest part because it's really getting into the feeling state. So validating is just really, I heard you. This is how I'm interpreting it too, but it's mostly just a summary of what the other person has said.
So summary. Okay, the reason why I'm stuck on this is because I'm thinking, well, what if that person doesn't agree with their interpretation? It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about reflecting back,
It's
right?
not. And in fact, sometimes couples in that phase, one of them will turn to me and go and say, well, the reason that she thinks that is, and I said, no. This isn't about you. This is all about her. You'll get to do your couples dialogue. Right now, you are empathizing and validating. And Harville Hendricks will even say, even if you don't believe it, even if you don't feel it right at that moment that you're doing this exercise, I want you to be with them. You are with them completely. And that's a hard thing for people to do, but it's an important step.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about the empathizing, because that is a huge part of, I do a lot of NVC, nonviolent communication, and we've done some shows about NVC, and when I took some people to a class, some people said to me, wow, I'm really not good at empathy. So I want to hear what the empathy part of this is.
Well, it's, again, you might not, that in that example, that husband might feel, this is ridiculous. I'm home 30 minutes late. She carries on about nothing. But what happens is when he understands and he is able to kind of laser focus in on what that real feeling is, because he's empathizing, and we get to the fact that she feels abandoned because perhaps her parent used to tell her he was going to be home at a certain time, didn't come home at all that night, came home several hours late. She internalized that. So when he can understand that her nagging and her controlling behavior, as he might think, is really more about her insecurities, her feelings of lack of safety, when he can get into that empathic place, that's when change begins. Because next time he's thinking of being late, rather than saying, I'm not going to call because I'm sick of her trying to control me, he will, we hope, remember that, wow, this isn't about controlling. This is about her feeling so unsafe as a child. And so because I want to heal those wounds, because that's what imago relationship therapy is all about, is healing the wounds of the partner, then he'll pick up the phone and let her know, I'm going to be late. She appreciates that. And they've started a new dynamic for their relationship, a healthy one.
But at some point, isn't there, let's say there's one person who's got a lot of trauma in their past and they've got a lot of wounds, and there's someone who doesn't. At what point is it appropriate or necessary for the person who's got the wounds to do their own work?
Well, absolutely. I mean, sometimes one partner is so wounded that couples therapy is not appropriate, and I will let them know that. It'll either be there's a substance abuse issue or other things going on where they have to have their own individual therapy as an adjunct, or sometimes separately before they can really do the couples work. That does happen because it's a lot of really deep work, and if there is a lot of trauma, it's not something you can repair in couples therapy. It really needs to be some real deep, intensive individual therapy.
And wouldn't it be, in some cases, like a bit enabling for the party that isn't as wounded, kind of feel like extra validating to fill in the gap so that person doesn't have to really go in there and heal it on their own?
Sure. And again, I think a therapist that sees that would say, I think this is really some work you need to be doing. And I've done that. I've told the person I think it would be better for this person to have some individual therapy or have it, in addition to. And if we find that the wounds are too deep, then we move them on to higher level of care again. Do they need medication? Do they need something else? But that's, we start with Imago, and it gets pretty clear pretty quickly if this is something that needs a higher level of care. I think there's been just a couple of people. One was some heavy substance abuse, and the other was some early sexual abuse that kind of was uncovered as we were talking. And so I got her a good therapist, and she was sort of doing her own work. And then they came back to couples maybe a couple of years later when she was more regulated, and then we could do the work.
Great. Now, the other question I have, I took that principle for myself. And, regardless of whether there's, I think, trouble in your marriage or relationship or not, I think it's a really good practice to self-evaluate. Well, why did I choose this person? And what is it that I need to heal, period, so that I can do that work so that I don't have problems. And for me, when I figured out what it was really clear kind of the work that I needed to do. So question to you, does it come up sort of in the beginning, or at what point is it different for everybody that you could actually zero in on the cause? Like, what is it in one sentence that you need to heal, each one of you, in order to make this relationship better?
No, it's not an instant. I don't think it's an instantaneous thing. I can sit back and go, I bet there's something that happened in childhood. I could guess it's this, but it's really through the exercises. And because Imago is so beautifully laid out and it's so step by step, that you talk about wounds with your partner, the wounds, your early wounding. You tell your partner what makes you feel loved. You share with your partner your vulnerabilities. You disassemble inappropriate childhood beliefs. So something that you've internalized, I'm no good, or I don't deserve, or I'm entitled to, and we kind of look at those. Then you kind of move on to the phase of rekindling and re-experiencing your romance and sort of getting, obviously that part of the relationship back on track. And it's really, giving your partner what they need and what they want. They were hurt, they were wounded. Is it your job to repair everything? Absolutely not. But can you be that loving presence for them? Can you show more compassion? Can you show more understanding? And then, we do there's homework in Imago. We do exercises. There's a particular worksheet I like it's entitled Frustrations with My Partner. And it's broken out into columns. One column is, I don't like it when you, and then you write something. And then I feel when you do this. And I react by, when you do this, to hide my fear of. And that's the gold right there, to hide my fear of. And so the partner gets to know what their partner is frustrated with, but at the same time, the person who is the frustrated partner also gets to own their stuff, own what they're contributing and what they're bringing to the relationship that's causing the issues.
Beautiful. Good. Okay. I want to hear more about some of these homework items that maybe people who are listening might be able to start employing now, just to sort of scratch the surface. Obviously, Imago needs to be done most effectively with a therapist or a practitioner, but there are resources out there. And again, there is that idea that what are your wounds? And I always believe that we can heal our own wounds faster if we're aware of them and if we acknowledge them. So when we come back, we're going to go over what you guys can do if you want to get started right now to heal your relationship with some Imago therapy. Get the hottest tips and latest trends for your business success with today's Innovative Woman magazine, a free print and online digital magazine. Plus, receive the special bonus video series, Platforms for Profit, the must-have marketing essentials for outrageous success, taught by media and marketing strategist Kathy Alessandra. Who is today's innovative woman? She's a smart and savvy business owner. She is driven and committed to success. She invests in herself and her business on everything from products to grow her knowledge, services to grow her business, and events to learn and connect with potential clients and customers. You can claim your free subscription today and get it mailed to your home or office at today'sinnovativewoman.com. What does your self-care routine have to do with dating and relationships? Everything. How you treat yourself is the blueprint for how you show others how to treat you. I call this your body blueprint. Ready to change your body blueprint and manifest better quality relationships and physical results? I am giving away free copies of the second edition of Fit to Love, How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract the Love of Your Life, when you subscribe to this podcast. Visit fittolove.tv/ebook to download your copy today. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv/ebook. Let's transform your body and your relationship. Okay, Maria, how can we use Imago therapy on ourselves to our best ability, of course, before we want to prepare ourselves to come in for therapy, or if we're not sure yet and maybe we need to convince the other person in our party, so we're going to start doing it on our own. What would you recommend?
Right. Well, Harville Hendrix, he's got a book out, Getting the Love You Want, A Guide for Couples, which was a New York Times bestseller. And then there's also a couple study guide, Getting the Love You Want workbook. And some of the things I've spoken about today are in the workbook. And you can just get the book and the workbook and look through it and begin to perhaps do some of the exercises at the beginning of the book and see if that makes sense to you. One of the things that Harville Hendrix talks about is closing exits. It's sort of deeper into the book, but I think as a couple you can sit down and look at things like affairs, substance abuse, too much time on the internet, avoidance. Those are what he talks about, is closing those exits, meaning not employing those unhealthy behaviors that draw you away from your partner. So you could just sit down and see, you could each talk about those behaviors. And then there's another one called caring behaviors, where you just sort of identify what your partner wants. And it could be something simple, like what's one nice thing I can do for you? Well, I kind of like it when you rub my back when I'm going to sleep. Great, I can do that. What do you need? I love it when you bring me a cup of coffee in the morning. I really appreciate that. So you can employ some caring behaviors to start and see maybe where that takes you, maybe if the dialogue opens up. But if you're in conflict and there's a lot of disharmony in the relationship, it's going to be tough to sit down and probably identify those things. So that's why either getting these books or going to a couples therapist is really it's good for everybody. It's good, even if the relationship is really pretty good, you can always go in for tune-ups, and there's no downside to it.
I agree. It's my number one recommendation for all of you out there, especially if you're going through a divorce or getting ready to, and it's not to heal your relationship so that you stay together, although that may happen. But it's really because you will repeat the pattern if you don't heal it, period. So why not figure out what it is and heal it? And that way you can more healthfully choose somebody who doesn't need to heal the wounds of your past because you've already healed them on your own or with your previous partner. So Marie, if someone's to get in touch with you, they're ready for therapy, how can they find you or other Imago practitioners? Now, I know that you can go to Imago website and look it up, but not everybody's on there. I know that you're not on there. And so if I'm looking for someone, what do you recommend?
Well, yeah, I mean, Imago does have certified Imago therapists. If you Google them, and again, look in your area, there's plenty of them. But I would say that although I use Imago, I use other modalities as well. Whatever the couple needs. So I'm not strictly Imago, but I can be reached. You can call me at my office, 310-546-6500, extension 58. You can go to my website, www.bepresent.com, or you can find me on psychologytoday.com as well, just typing in my name.
Well, I love that there's integrative processes. So using more than Imago would be great. Using whatever tools best suit the couple is very important. So maybe if people look on their insurance, see, way back when I looked for somebody, there wasn't a lot in the area, which is one of the reasons why when I found you, I was super excited, even though everything is great, but I was just so curious, and I do believe in this work so much and really think it can help change so many lives and relationships. And I wanted to let people know about it. So I would recommend that if you can't find somebody on that site, or if you want a more eclectic brand, pick up the phone and look for someone who's an MFT and ask them if they do it, if they incorporate it. Because I personally wouldn't go again to somebody who didn't do it, because I just think it's so effective.
Yeah, it's so deep. It gets deep quickly. And I think that's why people who take to it like you did like it, because it really moves you through rather quickly. And what it also does, I think, is it gets you out of the content of, well, he did this and she did this, and the finger pointing and the blaming and the attacking. It kind of like takes all of that out, because you're really getting to the root of things and healing.
Well, on the area of deep, I want to make a shirt that says "Go deep or go home." So for me, the deeper, the faster, the better, because to me, that's just gets it out of the way. Why prolong the truth. Just get to the core of it, rip the weed out so it doesn't grow again instead of having to cut it every time it grows past the surface, number one. And then number two, in terms of this, there's a spiritual aspect of it for me. In, like you said, it takes us out of that he did this and I did this, and right, because those are all symptoms of a deeper issue.
Right.
So that's not even the reality of what's going on. And so the longer you stay in there, it's a cloud of smoke. You're not even seeing clearly. So to think that you didn't make a mistake in the person that you chose, but and maybe it's a part of your growth, but to look at your relationship in a different way from a higher, broader perspective, to say, wow, I chose you for a reason. And the reason was to heal me. And so maybe this marriage isn't going to work, but I have the opportunity to take this relationship and make myself better. And for me, it's a deeper, broader meaning for the relationship that isn't about my ego making the wrong choice or having it be, quote unquote, a failed relationship that was a waste of time and that didn't serve me in any way. I don't believe in mistakes. I think everything serves a purpose. And so Imago gets to outline that purpose, which I believe can give people more hope and not get so attached emotionally to their own responsibility and what did I do wrong and why did I choose this person?
Right. And you do hear that a lot. I tell people when they come into couples therapy, people come into couples therapy to break up, to stay together, and or to learn how to co-parent. Not every marriage is going to survive. But we do everything we can to help it do that. But sometimes it's kind of too far gone, and some people, one of the two of them have sort of given up. But they do learn. I think they learn respect. They learn some compromise, and they learn how to co-parent sometimes, and that's always a good thing.
Well, I know that lots of people don't want to go deep, so they're not going to be open to it anyway. And in order to do the work, you have to kind of be open to that. So if you don't really want to heal, and I know plenty of those, if you don't want to heal, then you're not going to do the work.
That's right.
So then there's no hope. I mean, there is hope for you if you decide to change your mind, but this isn't going to be right for you. But I'm here to help provide tools for people who do believe in a higher purpose for things and do believe in a deeper meaning, and that there's always hope and there's always a reason and there's always a solution. So
sometimes people come in and don't know that they are open spiritually, or they are open to a different way of looking things. They're so shut down. But by coaching them along and by being a caring therapist, or creating, just a caring environment, it's surprising how people do begin to open up a little bit and let it in. And that's always a beautiful thing to see too.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope so. And I'm happy to hear it, because I know that once we, heal your hearts, we heal the world. So thank you, Maria, so much for being here again. I really appreciate your expertise and your knowledge about this subject and helping me to spread the word about Imago therapy. And hopefully people will also want to reach out and come work with you on it, because that could transform their lives.
Well, thank you. And thanks for all the good work you're doing too.
Looking for an engaging and inspiring speaker? Does your group need a good jolt of positive thinking? Look no further than JJ Flizanes. Visit her site to check out her most requested topics and video examples. jjflizanes.com. That's jjflizanes.com.
The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly video casts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv. Have a fit and fabulous day.